Hi, it's Dr. Darren Schmidt at the Nutritional Healing Center of Ann Arbor. And I was watching one of my favorite YouTube doctors educating us on the value of eating animal glands. And he was saying that there's a lot of vitamin A in liver, and there's all these other nutrients in different glands. And I wanted to stop him, jump through my screen and say, wait, you're missing the whole point. The whole point of eating glands is to get the DNA. So all the proteins and vitamins and other oils even, you can get a lot of that from plants. So why bother eating liver? Well, or thymus or thyroid. Well, it's because you get the DNA, which I'll get into. But if you look back at the pharmaceutical companies, they all used to make desiccated glands. And they had these different recipes. So they would take one part of the pancreas and the center of the thyroid and combine it as one capsule, and you consume that. It was dried. Desiccated means dried. So all of pharmacy, not all of it, but a lot of it was just giving people glands to repair their glands. So here's 3 things that DNA does when you eat it and you have more in your blood from another source outside of your own body. And I just have to stop and say, just remember that broccoli doesn't have a liver. And broccoli and other, radishes and plants, etc., they don't have a spleen. They don't have a pancreas. So you got to get those organ DNAs from eating animal parts. So when you have this DNA in your blood, it increases the growth and replication of your cells, and it also decreases the growth and replication of your cells. So it's adaptogenic. It'll change depending on what your body needs. So for example, if you have one kidney removed, that means you have half the total volume of kidney cells in your body, which then means you have half the total volume of kidney DNA in your body. Now you have less DNA of kidney in your blood, so what happens? The other kidney grows bigger to take up the extra work that needs to be done because the other kidney's gone. So that's an example of less DNA of kidney in your body increasing the growth and replication of cells. Another example is cancer. So if you have like liver cancer and you have more liver cells, you're going to have more DNA in your blood. That's a signal for your body to stop growing liver. And that's one attempt in how your body's trying to contain the liver cancer. There's other factors, of course, but this is all research from the 1950s and earlier, and they really started to study and figure out what is DNA, back in the late 1800s. So, and I'm going to go over the other terms that they called it. They had different words for it too back then. A third thing that DNA does in your blood is it stops the immune system from attacking an organ. You can have a localized autoimmune attack. Now, when I say the word autoimmune, most people think that the immune system is attacking the body from head to toe, like everything. Well, that could be, but a lot of times, most of the time, it's just the immune system attacking one organ, like the liver, for example, or like the lung. And Dr. Lee had a story about a fireman who inhaled a lot of smoke, damaged his lungs, and he couldn't recover. He's laying in bed. He's getting worse and worse over the course of many, many months. Well, Dr. Lee gave him lung DNA in a pill form, and then he started to recover because the immune system started to attack the pill. And now the lung has an opportunity to repair because the immune system isn't attacking it as much. Okay, so getting back to consuming the glands, we're not eating enough endocrine glands. We're eating a lot of muscle meat. We're getting a lot of muscle DNA. But when's the last time you had a thyroid sandwich? Well, you could have had one 100 years ago or 150 years ago in the downtown of any major city. They sold it on the streets like they have hot dog vendors now. You get a thyroid sandwich, but that was banned because it's unsanitary. Well, actually, it was really, really healthy. And so with this consumption of muscle meat, you could potentially have too much protein in your diet, which is really easy. And maybe it's because it tastes so good. But we need to incorporate other glands. Now, if you can't go to your local store and buy sweetbreads, which is thymus or pancreas, or glands like that, then you order them as a capsule online. You can get organically raised multiglandular products. Okay. So DNA in your blood acts like seeds of a plant that drop to the ground and supply the successors. So that's one concept. Let me get back to this concept here about how a cell can grow. You get a single molecular layer forming on the outside of the cell of the DNA. So that DNA lines up right here because the energy field does that. The energy field of the body directs where things go. It tells proteins to go over there. It tells minerals to go over there. It tells white blood cells where to go. So the field of the body directs the DNA here, and then you have proteins that form into place. They fall into the correct place like the game Tetris. And then you have catalyzers like enzymes, for example, that make things happen. And then you have crystallization. That's the term they used in the 50s when they talked about the electrical field of the body, or now it's called the holofractographic universe theory field, and they have a whole video on that. But the whole point is, don't forget about the electricity. So there's a doctor named George Crile, C-R-I-L-E, and he put together the DNA of brain with amino acids, and he knew exactly how much electricity to impart into that experiment, and brain tissue was created. And he didn't know about DNA. At the time it was a different name. He thought he made synthetic life. He didn't make synthetic life. He just provided an opportunity for the amino acids, the proteins, to combine with the DNA plus the electricity, and then brain tissue started to grow. So George Crile, you may probably have heard of the Cleveland Clinic. He started the Cleveland Clinic back then. This is the 1920s, 1930s. Now, let's talk about this a little bit more. How does the DNA in your blood stop the autoimmune attack? It antagonizes the antibodies to that organ. So that fireman had damaged lungs, smoke in his lungs, broken lung cells, and all the contents are spilling into the blood and the lymphatic system, and the immune system has to clean that all up. So after a few months of this, the immune system gets tired, it gets confused, it doesn't have 20/20 vision anymore, and it starts to just attack everything related to the lungs, including the lungs, even the healthy parts. So this is part of disease. Now you have the immune system attacking the lungs, and you take a pill with lung DNA in it. Now the immune system is attacking the pill, and it gives your lungs the ability to now repair because it's not being attacked anymore like it used to. This applies for any organ: skin, liver, brain, kidney, adrenal, name the organ. This disease process happens in any organ, and the solution to stop the immune system from attacking it is by consuming that DNA in the pill form, or if you're eating the actual gland itself. Okay, so I hope you understand all that. I'm going to finish this off by giving you some terms that you know of, but 80 years ago, 100 years ago, they used different words. So stem cells now used to be called, also known as, they were called denatured proteins. So it's like you have these boards and you're going to make a doghouse. Well, you got to cut the boards and you got to angle some of the cuts and form something. So the denatured protein is like boards just laying in the yard, not formed into anything. Stem cells were also known as undifferentiated cells. What that means is you have a liver cell and a kidney cell. Those are two different cells. Those are differentiated. So a stem cell is pre-differentiated. They are undifferentiated. So how do you make an undifferentiated cell into a kidney cell? You add the kidney DNA. Okay, now DNA used to be called a determinant, and it also used to be called a protomorphogen. So a protomorphogen would be shortened to PMG. So proto meaning like first, like prototype, if you will. And morph means change or shape. And then gen is related to the word Genesis, like the first book in the Bible. So protomorphogen, it's like this thing that tells a stem cell to become something. It's also the thing that turns a denatured protein into a formed protein. So the DNA is like the blueprints of a building. So if you have a bunch of workers that will construct a building, but they don't have blueprints, it's going to come out really weird. It's going to look like part cathedral, part retail store, part movie theater, because there's no one cohesive blueprint. And so that's where the DNA comes in. And it's true too for cell repair. So let's say you build a nice skyscraper, but then you lose the blueprints, and over the course of 100 years, you got guys coming in and they have different ideas about what the building's supposed to look like or how it's supposed to function. So now you have porta potties in one hallway, and you got fancy toilets in another bathroom somewhere else down the hallway, and there's arches and there's sliding glass doors, and it's just, there's no cohesiveness throughout the building because everybody's got a different idea. So remember that DNA is the blueprint for all your cells, and it turns baby cells like stem cells or denatured protein into formed protein, and it regulates cell growth. It'll slow it down, it'll speed it up, it'll control the immune system. So you got to get in DNA, and I've been saying for over a year, eat your liver, because that's really important. And just search online for multiglandulars. I've found some, and read the reviews. It's really interesting because people talk about how their blood is healthier. And if you have clean, healthy blood, man, you're in good shape. If you have dirty blood, that's lactic acidosis. That's the mechanism of chronic disease. So if you take a multiglandular that fixes all your organs up, and now your organs are able to clean, you get healthy blood, and that's a really good, it's a really good step towards health. Now, if you're a patient of mine, you can buy the standard process protomorphogen products from our website, and you can always consult with me, and we can put together a good plan for you. If you're not a patient and you want my help, or somebody else from this office, just email. You'll see the email below. It starts with intake. All right, so this video is a long time coming. I've known about this for, 15 years. And I've learned more about it in the last year. And I just want to share this with you. And it's kind of I don't want to say it's a controversial topic. It's not controversial at all. This is Mother Nature. This is the way it is. And you can argue against it, and you can fight against it. But when I see people not eating enough DNA from animal parts, their body just starts to break down. And it could be their hair is falling out. It could be their foot breaks. I knew a woman, she was eating a plant-based diet for a long time and too much sugar. She was eating cakes all the time. And she stepped off the back step of her house onto her porch, and her foot broke. So her tissues were just so weak. She was so deficient in DNA that her body couldn't repair her foot bones on a daily basis, and they became so fragile they just broke. But over the years I've seen people not eat animal parts, and they just have these weird, teeth start to crack, and now they have a rash, and they got a pain over here, and it's a full body problem. You got to look at the big picture. Not just symptom, not just this organ, or what's the best nutrient, maybe I should take CoQ10. No, look at the big picture. So if you like this information, please give me a thumbs up. I had a good time sharing it with you. And then please share with the others and subscribe. Thanks.